Familiar faces in the sport of boxing. Muhammad Ali, of course, on my right, Joe Fraser on my left. And you know, an interesting thing, before they could ever get at each other, early on in their careers, there were a couple of lumps that had to be taken. Muhammad, I refer, of course, to a fight back in 1963 in England against Henry Cooper, and you actually got knocked down in that fight. Do you recall the thoughts that you had at that time here? You worked so hard, you went through the Olympic Games, you had fairly easy time up to that point, and all of a sudden you're on your back.
I think I predicted round 5 for that fight. I did get Henry in 5, but I suffered a knockdown in the 4th round. I tripped over a left hook.
What were the thoughts that went through your mind, if you recall, at that time?
Well, as I recall, I was stunned with a hard punch. I don't remember falling. I didn't remember getting hit. I just sitting on my behind, looking up. And I wasn't hurt, but I was dazed. And the first thing that came to my mind was I'd been hit and I had to get up. So immediately I got up.
Was that the first time you can remember really being hit?
Yes.
There was a conflict.
He hit me so hard, it jarred my kinfolks in Africa.
There was a conflict about that fight. I remember talking to Angelo Dundee about this. It had to do with a rip in the glove that Angelo will readily admit at this time that he actually made that rip a little bit bigger, and that gave you a chance kind of to catch your breath and give you another 30 or 40 seconds in the corner. Is that fact?
This is the first time I heard that.
Is that true? That did not happen?
Something happened to the glove. I think they took the glove off and sent to the back to get another one. I think that was the fight.
Gave you a chance, though, to at least catch your breath and get things back. And, of course, you made good on your prediction.
Yes.
And from there, of course, it went on, and we all know what happened after that with Muhammad Ali. Joe Fraser also had a bit of a scare in a fight early on. I guess the guy named Oscar Bonavena, he was a tough guy, and at that time he hadn't been knocked down at all. He knocked you down.
Oscar was tough, there's no doubt about that. But let's say being backed by a lot of business people in Philadelphia, I know once I got shook, I had to get up. There's no doubt about that. Let's say I had like 250 businessmen invested a certain amount of money. I think it was one of your guys here who work at the station, Larry Merchant, was one of the guys that invest some money. So therefore, at that time, when I got shook with Oscar was a very good puncher. Let's say as strong as a bull, and he didn't stop, and I didn't stop, and I got knocked down twice in that particular fight. And one more push down, or whatever it may call, the fight would have been over. But knowing the people were standing behind me, I had to really put out that night.
All right, before we look down the road toward the good things, let's take a look back on a couple of the rocky moments of these two gentlemen, Muhammad Ali and Joe Fraser. Let's watch Ali and Cooper, Fraser and Bonavena.
June 18, 1963, the self-proclaimed uncrowned champion Cassius Clay invaded England and predicted a 5th-round knockout of Henry Cooper. Clay was a brash contender for Sonny Liston's crown, but in Wembley Stadium this night, his dreams were almost shattered.
You got to fight this boy Cooper. You've been playing around for a long time, sporting it, as you say.
Yes, I'm not training too hard for this bum. Henry Cooper's nothing to me. If this bum go over 5 rounds, I won't return to the United States for 30 days.
Here in round 4, the fight is quite even as Clay goes about his work almost casually. Cooper just keeps looking for that one clean shot. There it is. That blistering left hook sends Clay crashing to the canvas. Clay's up at the count of 4, a little wobbly.
After the 4th round knockdown, Angelo Dundee had discovered a tear in Clay's glove. As officials searched frantically for a spare, Clay was given time to recover. After escaping Cooper's left hook, Cassius Clay went on to beat Sonny Liston for the heavyweight title 8 months later. From then on, he became known as Muhammad Ali. May 21st, 1966, the 4th title defense of heavyweight champion Muhammad Ali. Henry Cooper was a 32-year-old hometown hero. At a pub near Cooper's training camp, his gloves for the first fight were hung proudly on the wall. A sign below read, "These gloves did not split."
The referee steps in and stops the fight because of that badly cut left eye.
At 1:38 of the 6th round, Muhammad Ali had retained the heavyweight championship of the world. Finally, Ali had silenced the controversy of the cut glove. At the same time, a 1964 Olympic gold medalist named Smokin' Joe Frazier was an unbeaten heavyweight with his first real test. On September 21st, 1966, Argentinian Oscar Bonavena almost ended the title aspirations of a budding future champion.
Fraser goes down from a ponderous right to the jaw. Joe is up at the count of 4. That's the first time Fraser's ever hit the canvas. Oscar moves in. Bonavena floors Joe again with a chopping left hook. Fraser survives the 2 knockdowns, goes after Bonavena aggressively.
Joe Frazier managed a 10-round split decision. On March 4th, 1968, Joe won the World Heavyweight title. In his second defense, Joe Frazier wanted only one man, Oscar Bonavena. December 10th, 1968, Oscar Bonavena stated that he had won their previous battle. The heavyweight champion wanted to erase the memory of the 2 knockdowns, and Joe said, if he's still standing, I'll keep smoking. Joe Frazier wanted to prove his supremacy.
Joe never lets up. He avenges the humiliation of those 2 previous knockdowns. It's all Joe Frazier.
Both of Oscar Bonavena's eyes were swollen shut, and heavyweight champion Joe Frazier was awarded a unanimous decision. But one fighter waited in the wings. In order to be recognized as the people's champion, Joe Frazier had to defeat one man, Muhammad Ali.
Well, while Muhammad Ali was inactive in 1968 and 1969, Joe Frazier won the heavyweight championship. He beat Jimmy Ellis, stablemate, oddly enough, of Muhammad Ali. But then Muhammad came back, had 2 fights, and we were ready for the first of 3 great ones. Muhammad, let me ask you first of all, what was your feeling about Joe Frazier, the man, at that time? I realized there was a lot of selling of tickets and all that kind of thing that had to be done, and which you've admitted was a part of the game. But what did you really think of Joe Frazier?
I love Joe Frazier. I can tell you now. I love Joe Frazier. I love Joe Frazier. We have done so much for each other, and we're making each other popular, making each other rich, done so much for boxing. I can plainly remember, I want Joe Frazier. I tell my bodyguards, I would say, y'all hold me at the press conference. I'm going to pretend I'm going to jump on him. Y'all hold me. I wasn't going to jump on him. I ain't crazy.
Don't turn me loose.
He's a good street fighter.
Did you have to talk yourself into disliking him before getting into the ring with him?
I never disliked him. I'm telling you. I've never disliked even Cosell.
But why not?
Sometimes I just wish I was a dog, he's a tree.
But it wasn't until after the 3rd fight, actually, that you finally said, I've got a lot of respect for Joe Frazier.
Well, when I first fought Frazier, I thought he wasn't half as good as he was. I figured I could jab him, move him, and don't get hit. He hit me so hard, my toes trembled. He could hit.
Joe, let me ask you, what were your feelings going into the first fight? You had something to prove at that time, because everybody, in people's eyes, it was still Muhammad Ali who was the champion, even though you had the title.
Well, I imagine that would be one of the problems, that, you know, when he was stripped of the title, let's say because of the draft, you know, I didn't really have nothing to do with that. I think I was the only guy that fought for the championship maybe 3 times. You missed one guy, it was Mathers too, before Jimmy Ellis. And I thought he was a great guy, and let's say, God bless him, Young Durham told me, let's say, if you can get in shape and we can take on the champ, say, look, you got no problem, just go out there and be prepared to get the job done.
Muhammad, I want to ask you, going back to that first fight, in the 11th round of that first fight, I remember watching the fight and thinking, he's play acting. He's not hurt as much as he appears to be hurt. Now, let me ask you point blank, were you hurt that much?
Yes, sir. But I have a way of getting hurt and putting emphasis on it to make the guy say, no, I'm not full of it. He's trying to trick me. I was really wanting to do that, but I did that. I put more in it. And by me, when he hit me, I said, oh, I'm in trouble.
So I stopped. That's what happened. He zag, I zap.
Let me ask, Joe, what were the thoughts that you had in the 15th round?
We still got to fight.
Right now? This is only for $1.50 here. You don't want to do this. In the 15th round, what were the thoughts that went through your mind when you saw the man go down?
But what about, Governor, you missed all the rounds. 15 rounds. I heard him every round in that fight. Every round, 2 and 3 times, he got shook. I'll tell you, he got shook in that round. It was so, listen, I've seen times that when I was coming up as a boy, and I used to work in the country, I used to hang the sacks on the trees, you know what I mean? I used to hit the sacks and the trees used to tremble. You know what I mean? So that's what he got cooked with, hit with that left hook. Every round he got shook. And he keeps saying, I keep saying, who he kidding? It ain't me, because I've been hitting him. I know I shook him.
All right, let's go back and look at it. It happened at Madison Square Garden. 20,000 people on hand for the first of 3 great fights and millions more on closed circuit.
Who's Joe Frazier?
Let's watch it.
March 8th, 1971. Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier were each guaranteed $2.5 million in what was simply termed the fight. For one brief moment in history, 2 boxers commanded the world's attention. The Battle of Champions lived up to its billing.
That's what you do, a man like Joe Frazier. Back off of him. Just keep boxing. He will be easier to hit. He will not be as much trouble or as awkward as Oscar Bonavena. Joe Frazier. I mean, this is the day, man. You understand? I just put You're not fighting Glory. You're not fighting Oscar Bonavena. You're not fighting Sonny Liston. You fighting Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier. If Joe Frazier whoops me, I'm getting on my hands on my knees. I call across the ring, look up to you, say, I'll tell you what, I don't you ain't gonna be on the floor. I'm trying to get you on the spot.
Ali trying to tie Joe Frazier up in close. Joe wants to punch in there. Ali tells Frazier that didn't hurt. Ali talking to Joe Frazier. The fans cheering for their man, Muhammad Ali, as Joe pours it on. Ali seems disdainful in there. Both men ripping, tearing, bombing punches at each other. This is what the crowd came to see. Ali tells Joe, come on back. And come back he does. Joe Frazier lands the best punch of the fight. Ali almost goes down. Ali in desperate trouble. Ali holding on. Frazier trying to end it here in round 11. Can Ali last the round out? Frazier shoves Muhammad Ali off of him. It's all Joe Frazier. Another torrid left hook by champion Joe Frazier. Ali can hardly stand. Muhammad Ali, rubbery leg, obviously in desperate trouble here in the 11th round, and there's the bell. Here in the 15th and last round, it's still very close. An explosive left to the jaw, and Muhammad Ali goes down. Ali is up at the count of 3. Arthur Mercani wipes off the glove, and Joe Frazier moves in to finish it.
Joe Frazier won a 15-round unanimous decision, but he spent several days in the hospital recuperating from the battle. Ali's jaw was swollen to melon size, requiring a doctor's care. Both fighters brought the best out of the other. Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, a classic rivalry. After Ali beat Frazier in a second non-title fight, Ali won the heavyweight crown from George Foreman. His 4th defense was on October 1st, 1975. The world anticipated yet another brutal war between Ali and Frazier. What transpired was one of the greatest fights in heavyweight history.
And in order to start pouring, it says there will be a killer and a thriller and a killer when I get the gorilla in Manila. That's right. And I got his conscience right here to keep me on guard. See, here's the way he looks when you hit it. All night, that's all it to be. All night in Malaysia. That's all you're going to see. The Philippines, rather. Come on, gorilla. We in Manila. Come on, gorilla. This is a thriller.
World heavyweight champion Muhammad Ali takes on his redoubtable nemesis faces Smokin' Joe Fraser for the third time.
The champion in white trunks is ahead on points, but Joe in blue is starting to come on strong. Torrid punches to the body and head by former champ Smokin' Joe Frazier. Joe would love to regain the heavyweight crown. Here in the 14th round, it's still very close. A torrent of blistering punches staggers the former champion. Joe Frazier in trouble here in the 14th round. Ali throwing bombs at Frazier. The champion is going for a knockout right here.
Joe Frazier could not answer the bell for the 15th round. Ali later said the fight was like death, the closest thing to dying that I know of. I bring out the best in every man I fight, but Joe Frazier, I'll tell the world right now, brings out the best in me. It was the final act of a three-part drama which began 4 years earlier in Madison Square Garden. Many felt the third fight was the greatest performance in the history of boxing. Two heavyweights of incomparable courage, determination, and skill. Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier.
It might have been the greatest fight of all time, the Thrilla in Manila. Muhammad, you said after that fight it was the closest thing to dying. What are your recollections now, 7 years later?
The reason I made that statement, I was so tired, so exhausted, so weak, I barely could walk out of the ring. And they had to carry me out, and I was so down. So I said that this is next to death. The only thing that could have been worse was dying.
If it was next to death for the winner, Joe, what was it for you?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I don't feel no different from, let's say, 75 is now. I imagine that we all grow a little older. There's no doubt about that. But the body is still in condition to do things that necessary, whatever it is, you know, I take a part of it. He sleeps anyhow, so it don't make no difference. Yeah, that's probably why he's sleeping out. Them left hooks got him sleeping. Yeah, he can't wake up right away.
Let me ask you what you're feeling.
His mind.
What are your feelings about each other now? You seem to have a great respect for each other. Now that the hype is all over, you don't have to sell tickets anymore.
Well, I always respect him, let's say, as a champion and as a man, you know, his way of living is his way and my way of living is mine. So therefore, I don't have anything against that. I would never, let's say, with him, you always got to be on your toe. You always got to watch him. When you walk away from him, walk backwards, not forward. Don't turn your back.
That's you.
That's you.
You gotta watch.
I gotta watch you. That's right. I didn't say nobody's else.
All right, we're all going to watch each other then. For Muhammad Ali and for Joe Frazier, two champions. There are no losers in this room, I will tell you that. Present company perhaps accepted. And for Larry Merchant, I'm Barry Tompkins. We'll see you next time on Boxing's Best. Thanks for joining us.
Okay. All right.
Remember